Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 36 of the D.M.C Podcast with your hosts today, myself, Adam Rigby, and standing in for the myth, the man, the mountain, Cody Hunter, is this beautiful Wahine Toa, a national treasure. She's love, light, kindness, and care, a proud mum whose mission is to motivate and inspire through her passion for fitness and people, one heartbeat at a time. She is Mandi Jones. Mandi, welcome.
Oh, what an intro. Do you know that's my favourite part of your intros is just seeing how you personify every single one.
Oh, it's true. It's from the heart. It's from the heart because, you know, I make it no secret that I love you. It's genuine care. It's genuine interaction. And that's really what I want to dig deep on. Really want to dig deep on today because you're one of these people that you can connect with and talk to, and you just know you're being listened to. You know, you have a deep intent to really unravel issues and problems and help people, and that comes from a real place. So I want to deep dive on some of that stuff, as well as just catch up and chat and vibe and get people to know and love you as I know and love you. And just get to share a bit of this, the relationship that we have, and a bit of you. We want to immortalize it so it's on YouTube and the internet forever. With that in mind, say what you want to say, go where you need to go. This is a safe place, and the DMC is just about the wonderful nature of conversations and how they flow, and the more they do, the braver we are to talk about things that really matter most to us. And it's that deeper level of connection that we can gain for one another. And that's what we need right now, eh? That's what we need right now.
It's so funny, eh? Like the universe works in crazy ways. I've just come off a phone call around just having a really genuine conversation with someone. And it's so funny, conversation, like when it comes to it, when someone calls you with a problem, it's not so much about intending to answer. It's just intending to absolutely listen. Just being completely present and listening, you know. And so basically that whole conversation, I was just, you know, and it's so powerful. It's so powerful.
Yeah, and I've just seen something recently. Simon Sinek says it so wonderfully. It's the art of listening, because you know we can sit there and listen to the words and repeat them, and in his words, you know, congratulations, your ears work.
Yeah.
But it's really being in a position where you can sit and allow people to talk and continue to talk and unravel, because, you know, I find in a lot of situations and conversations it's about talking rather than listening. You're just waiting for your turn, you know, rather than allowing the person to unravel it. And so
actually, did I hear what they just said? Because I was so busy calculating my response. You know?
Yeah, and it's are you distraction. We're Cody and I were big on that, and it's investing yourself 100% in the person and the moment and the conversation, because you never know what can come out of it. I made a reference to it today because I was out on a bike ride, and it's a wonderful time for me for those moments of deep thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that conversation, the art of conversation and being able to listen, also applies to self-talk, because sometimes we cut ourselves short when we're trying to process things in our own brain, in our own mind, all of these really important things, whether they're dark or light, and we tend to cut ourselves short. So I think for me too, investing in allowing my brain to actually voice every piece of the puzzle and present every piece of the puzzle, so I can unravel it and not hold on to anything, because I think that's where we get stuck too, right? You get halfway there in a conversation, and then there's still a little bit more to dig deeper. And conversations are the perfect opportunity to be able to unwind and unravel a lot of that stuff. So yeah, I see that in you, and that's why I love spending time with you. And obviously you're invested wholeheartedly in helping others. There's a light that surrounds you, and a deep care and love that you have for others. That's inspirational, right? And And what I'd love to do is go back to the moment that it all changed for you, I guess, was the shift. You moved, picked up your life in terms of following a passion for fitness from the 09 up north, and you moved down to the 04 Wellington to chase a dream, to chase a passion. Can you take me through that period in your life and leading up to where you are today? We'll start to fill in pieces of the puzzle, but the decision for you to move based on passion for fitness is a big one. Moving away from family, moving away from friends, from what you know.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a bit about what fueled that?
Oh my gosh, even my hands are sweating thinking about it. Did it? Yeah, look, it shivers. It'll be, how old am I now? Quick maths, hold on. Okay, so I was 23 when I decided to move. And I look back on that now, I was like, oh shit, I was an adult, man. Like, and that's the question, actually. Here's a segue. When you actually find out that you're an adult, when is the pivotal moment where you go, I'm an adult? What is the situation that makes that happen, by the way? Have you had that?
Oh, I think there are times in life when you approach some moments where you have to behave as an adult or identify with your adult life, but also there's the importance of embracing that childlike optimism and playful nature, right? The inquisitive nature and the curiosity. So I think you can transition between both and not get stuck into society's version of being an adult, because it's shifted dramatically. You know how they say 40 is the new 30 or 50 is the new 20 or whatever. Like, I don't know. I just think that there are moments as an adult or as a parent where you have to put a serious hat on and process things in a different way, but also the importance of staying true to your childhood and that inner child that we all have. We need to express it and still continue to just enjoy life, enjoy the simple things, enjoy the treasures, the interactions, and do lots of fun stuff. So I don't think there's an answer to that. No. You're definitely talking to the wrong person about being an adult. I am an adult. Don't get me wrong, people. I make very sensible, mature decisions at times.
Yes, we all lean on you, don't we? So I was about 23 and I had a couple of stints. So Les Mills, I started actually, Northern Arena was my primary, it was more of a recreation and swim school actually, which had this incredible passion and desire to have this culture and this experience like Les Mills did. So they were licensee to the Les Mills Club classes. So they had them as their products within their swim school and their fitness component of their centre. So I was hired there as kind of what they called at the time their 18. So that meant that we were required to do a bit of everything. So reception, jump in the pool and teach kids how to swim, be available on the gym floor for the members and anything required there, and of course teach classes. So at the time I was like, what is Les Mills? Like, whatever. I was 19. I have no idea. I've never heard of it. I was sport to the days up till 19, 20. I played basketball nationally and professionally till I was 20. And then I rode surfboat rowing from about 18 to 22. So that was kind of my game. That was my sport. So I was all right, what's this Les Mills gig? So they gifted us a 6-month membership to Les Mills in Takapuna and Auckland City. And that's where the love affair in my heart went through the roof. So that's where the passion and the love for Les Mills was created. My passion for fitness and sport was through my degree as well. So I did a Bachelor of Sport and Recreation at AUT, specialising in exercise science. So I've always had this incredible desire around sports and performance. Yep. But my passion for people and helping people didn't really start to escalate till I became part of the Northern Arena Les Mills culture, and that desire to actually, oh my God, here's a great tool, here's a great vehicle where there's an element of performance around athleticism and being, great in that area, but also I get to help people become the best versions of themselves using this tool, So that's started there, got offered an opportunity as a gym instructor, back then personal training apprentice at Les Mills, Auckland City. So started that there. Did that for a couple of years. At the time, Mid Thomas was the training manager of Les Mills, New Zealand.
OG Queen, all rise.
Oh, yes. So I used to go to her Friday morning classes. So once the membership finished with Northern Arena, I kind of signed up as a member and I was like, I really want to keep going to these classes. Like, I really love them. Started teaching Body Attack as my OG program. So I've been teaching that for nearly 12 years now. So that's, knees are keeping up with me, which is awesome. And yeah, used to go to, Mid Thomas's classes every Friday morning. And one morning I just got the kind of courage to introduce myself to her, and we kind of became known to each other, that I was an instructor, and kind of that was where our friendship kind of started up. So it was personal training, Auckland City, and I remember knocking on Chris Richardson's door for a wee while to see if I could get an opportunity to start teaching at Les Mills, Auckland City.
Chris Richardson, also OG
GFM, man. And I'm knocking on his door for well over 6 months until I finally got a response. And I remember having such a fantastic chat with him in the office. He sat down, was kind of like, why do you want to teach here? Where do you want to go? You need to let go of perfectionism. You need to start working on this, this, and this. And he gave me some really great tools and kind of pathways for what I could do with my teaching and how I could develop my passion for people, and how I could use both my teaching and actually my personal training to create this really great career. And then I get an email from Mid saying, hey, you're going to start teaching with me Friday mornings and Wednesday mornings for Body Attack and Pump. So Mid and I, there's a short story to this long story. Mid and I created this relationship. And so I was doing some great training with her in the group fit space. At the time, my business was kind of okay. I was in a space of contentment, but not really knowing what I wanted to do. I'd also come out of just a really bad relationship. So I was kind of like, I'm ready to clean slate, start new. What do I want to do? And that's when Mid Thomas got the Hutt City club manager role. And one Friday morning, she turned around and said to me, and she was like, do you want to come to Wellington with me? And, the first thing I said back to her, can I just call my mum to ask? This was, yeah. So I went and called mum, and she was like, go for it.
Oh, bless mum.
That's pretty much, the rest is history. So it would have been July 2014, 13. I moved down to Lower Hutt and have it back. Yeah.
Holy moly. So there's been a lot of, you could say, water under the bridge to the point now where you're a mum.
Yep.
I
love it.
And about to be betrothed.
Yes.
Yes.
4 months exactly.
4 months. 4 months. Well, I'm on the verge of, my lovely wife and I are on the verge of, in less than 2 weeks, celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary. No pressure.
So much.
Talk about my heartbeat. Holy moly. So, I mean, the getting here is one thing, developing a life and a reputation, all of those types of things. And, when you come into group fit, there's a lot of the other guys have talked about it. There's the star factor. You're drawn to the bright lights, the stage, the attention. But then you get these moments of honest interaction with the reason, the why, right? The why. And I think it's in all of us. I mean, we're here, my firm belief, I have talked about it before, is we are here to help people. That's our purpose. That's our mission. That's what we should all strive to do. But to see it actually present itself to you and know that you are making a difference and even if it, what it's like, right? Even if it's one person that walks out and you have helped them, it's such an overwhelming experience, such an overwhelming feeling, right? knowing that you are in some way making a difference or helping, at least as a motivator, as inspiration. And I guess one of the questions I have for you is, you've got a lot on your plate. You've got a lot of things, right? You are a GFM, one of the busiest and frantic gyms in the country. Obviously, Taranaki Street, OG, X Extreme, complete madhouse and mayhem. Talked with T last week, and describing to Cody the role of GFM as like a manager of the world's biggest rock band, right? You're dealing with all these personalities and people and timetables and all of the things and the operational aspect. You're a mum, you've got your own classes, you're also on the verge of building a brand and I guess a business / lifestyle opportunity that's opening up and presenting itself. How the fuck do you do it? Like, there's so much. Where do you find the time just to draw yourself back and relax? Have you found that time, or is it still 50 balls in the air?
It was, you know what, it was a real journey to establish how to balance all of those things. There was a lot of failures, there was a lot of hardships in certain areas where it shouldn't have been, around my relationship, around things with my whānau, around my house. Like, there was things that were suffering that shouldn't have. So it was a journey to find the balance and put the processes and the communication as well as the barriers in place to be able to maintain all of these things that we wanted to achieve. So my partner and I, in terms of our personalities, we're very high achievers and we're very ambitious. So anything that we put our mind to, we want to achieve at a really high level. So there's no half-assed. Like, there's, okay, if we're going to do this, this is how we're going to do it. Here's how we need to do it. And we're very lucky. Our relationship is, we've had to work to it, but like, we've had to be very good at communicating what we want and how we're going to do that with the kids to ensure that we achieve what we want to achieve. Because when we're striving to do something we want to fulfill, that's going to fulfill us and enable us to achieve, we're actually happier people. Like, we know that with these certain things in our daily life or our weekly life, we're going to be better people for it, for our kids, for our friends, for our days at work, and most importantly for each other.
Yep.
And we established that in one of the lockdowns. We made it really clear what we needed to be able to achieve these things when we went back to work and for our life moving forward. And you know, sometimes there's not enough hours in the day, so we make time. So for example, Ra will get up at 4 a.m. every morning. The mornings I don't get up to go to work early. He'll go to the gym and train, do his mobility, do his training, to make sure he's at home at night with the kids too. So the mornings that he gets up, to ensure that I can complete my study, or that I can do any of the admin chores I need to do, or any of the house admin stuff that I need to do, I'll get up at 4 a.m. too. So we kind of have this partnership. There'll be some mornings where I'll get up to train, and then there'll be some mornings he gets up to train and does, or we switch the roles. So there's no like, I'm the mum of the house, I have to do everything. It's a real partnership. And we have established at the very beginning. So one thing that's really enabled me to do everything is the partnership, is the communication in the partnership. And the work and the journey that we've had with that, because that's part of a relationship, right?
Of course.
And what comes with communication? Listening to each other actively, like really hearing what each other says. So that's been a really important part of that journey. So in the communication with that, having weekends whānau orientated, so that's been a real big shift we've had to make, and really making that a priority. So Sunday we pretty much do only whānau stuff, and that's a huge balance. Yep. And Ra, so for example, Ra, I know he's an extrovert, so for him to recharge himself, he needs to be around people all the time, he needs to be really active, he needs to be with his family. That's what fills his cup up. Whereas for me, the introvert in me, to make sure that I'm fully recharged, I actually need to be by myself in my bubble doing nothing, like no kids, no people around me, sitting in my bed, reading a book, having a nap, meditating, whatever, that will recharge me. So that's been a real journey to find, though. So making sure that was a priority to hit every of those kind of moments of high achievement that we wanted to be successful at. We had to prioritize that and make it really clear and communicate that to each other to ensure that we could do what we wanted to do in our workday, in our free time, and with the kids. Yeah.
And it's hard, because there's the frustration that comes along with sucking at stuff when you've got
Sure.
expectation and aspiration around doing something and doing it at a high level. It is frustrating to go back, and it's okay. And the overwhelming thing for people listening, it's okay to suck. Everybody sucked at something once in their life. It's you're not inevitably born with a skill to hit a golf ball. It's the repetition. It's the failure.
And yeah, because people go, how do you do it all? I'm like, some days I don't do it all.
Yeah.
Some days
yeah.
I go home and I fail miserably. I go home, I yell at the kids for not doing something that I shouldn't yell at them at. I go home and I've sat on the kitchen floor and cried because I dropped something. Like these days where no, I do not have it all together. And that's okay, but it's how you then react to those, well, not react, but how do you reflect on those moments to establish, okay, what could have been done better that maybe I could have avoided that? Because that wasn't good, because that's not who I am, right? And then that's not the kind of atmosphere I want to create at home. So
of course,
and that was
of course, and comms is critical, because you've got two competitive people, and the critical masses don't compete against each other, because it's having one person that understands you like no other, and it's having that person support you through the thick and thin, and understanding that your partner is going through the same journey. So nothing makes me happier than seeing my partner succeed and doing things that she wouldn't normally do, which she is at the moment. I couldn't be prouder of her as a human being and a person. Wonderful inspiration for me in life. Yeah. So and that's what we should do. We should provide inspiration, be a source of motivation, but also just a home for people to come back to. And if you want to sit and relax, because no one knows you like that person. We talked about it before. They see you at your absolute worst. Right, rock bottom. Your partner sees your rock bottom. Now, guaranteed, peeps, look on Insta. I don't see one iota, not 0.001% of rock bottom anywhere at the moment.
Is that what we're meant to say in our vows too, for better and for worse? Do I need to write that down?
For better and for worse. And it's true. And it's 1,000% true, and for richer or for poorer. And I think what's wonderful is I see, people starting their journey, and originally when Cody and I started the podcast, we were talking to people about giving them tools to actually help them navigate through some of the hurdles. But the more that we discussed it, the hurdles are necessary, right? To build the resilience, to get the experience, to build the bond, to build the relationship. It's necessary. But the overwhelming message is all of the mahi that you put in is worth it, because you get to a space and a place where, as I was talking about it last week, your I becomes we, your me becomes us in everything that you do. It's all encompassing. And that's the message. It's just, the grind, peeps. The grind is all around us, all day, every day. Now, one thing I do wonder, in reference to Instagram, one thing I do see on yours is you do share a lot of the real stuff, right? You've got a lot of really deep, heartfelt messages. You've got a lot of stuff about your own personal journey and your own personal story, which takes a lot of bravery to be able to share that in this space, to show vulnerability and open yourself up in that way. So I really do love that about you. But the articulate nature and way that you present your words is the overwhelming win for me. Breaking it down rationally, emotionally, putting your heart on a page, but showing people that it's not, people see the picture, right? They don't see the invisible stuff. And the invisible stuff is the tears. The invisible stuff is the drop bowl and the crying on the kitchen floor. The invisible stuff is growling at your partner because you're having a bad day. all of those, what are tricky things and can cause confrontation, are necessary, and everybody goes through them, right? Everybody goes through them. So from what you see, and let's talk about, it's kind of a little bit of attack into empowerment, because I know empowerment is really, really important for you, especially not just for young women, but for all women, right? And that's a direction that you're starting to head in, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor actually that you were starting a podcast. Oh wait! Wait a minute! I started that rumor. I started that rumor. But so watch out! Watch out for the next podcast, peeps.
To be seen, guys. To be seen.
Yeah, but I mean, if you've got something to say, this is a great platform to be able to put it out for people, because it's difficult, right? Getting people in front of you and having that conversation in a room is challenging for people. But giving people space and time to digest the information in their own space till they're comfortable to come out and talk to you face to face, I think is really critical. So I commend you on that. But in terms of let's go back to the empowerment, and we go social media.
Yeah.
The disaster that is social media, but also the wonderful aspect of social media, which we've been discussing. In terms of empowerment. And look, I celebrate people's ability to express themselves, right? Mm-hmm. I celebrate the ability for people to show more of themselves. I celebrate the ability for people to potentially stretch themselves and go places they haven't been before. But do you think that a lot of the posts are still just throttled by what society is pushing down our throats? So when we talk about empowerment, they're still falling into these silos. So I still see what I don't get is and this is just me, peeps, this is just my opinion, my thoughts, is a photo of a bikini, you in a bikini saying hi, is that adding to your brand, or is that impacting the universe in a positive way? What are kind of what are your thoughts? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. I'm not saying it's wrong, but do you think that is the correct way that young women or women in general should be portraying themselves or pushing themselves in that direction? Are they catering for themselves in terms of empowering themselves, or are they falling prey to the stigma that is social media and pushing forward what social media and society want to see?
Well, I guess the question, is that the right question we're asking though? Because what do we primarily use the tool as Instagram for? I guess that's where you want your first question to be. So if you're looking to create a brand, what is your brand? What does your brand stand for? What's the message that you then want to portray? If you're selling bikinis, sure, put a bikini on, sell your bikini, say hi. That'll be the right message, right? You're selling your brand, you're saying what your message is. This is my bikini on my body, look how cool it looks, right? If that's your message. If you are creating a brand that is about empowerment and your message is about embracing your body and, whatever that is, because all body shapes are right? There's no right or wrong body shapes. We're not body shaming anyone. And your high message is followed with a statement around empowerment in your body and loving your body, that then creates a different message to the picture, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess it's all in context.
Of course.
So that's kind of where my direction with Instagram is around the thoughts with Instagram. Like, what do you actually have your Instagram social network and community for? Because that's exactly what it is. It's your community. Yep. If you're just on there showing, hey, this is my life in pictures, you're going to get in a range of different pictures coming at you, right? Here's me when I'm in my bikini. Here's me when I'm in my going out clothes. Here's me with my friends as we go to the beach. Like, those are all examples of you just living your life. Here's what my Instagram is. Here's my friends. This is the community that follows me. For me, if I'm establishing, so now I'm going to talk about myself personally and my brand and what I'm doing to kind of create an empowering message with women, then yes, I'd show a range of different things and visuals that can or in hope, this is where I'm coming from as well, is in hope of sending a really empowering and positive, as well as real. So that's a big value of mine. Be real, be authentic, be energetic about it, be passionate about it, and show your truth in your posts. Because even if, you know, how are we basing your posts on being successful and empowering too? Like, yeah, likes are a thing, but we can hide likes now. They don't matter anymore, right? Yeah. So put your message out there to your community that you're creating, because those are the people that find value in you and want to hear what your brand is speaking for. Yeah, because that's the other thing too. You choose who you want to follow, right?
Yeah, of course.
You choose messages that you want to see and what you want to be exposed to on the daily. So if you're following someone that's actually not sending the message that's empowering you and making you feel like shit, babes, you've got the choice. See ya. Yeah. So I mean, Instagram's a powerful tool to create empowerment and the right messages if you've got the right, if you know what you're standing for on the gram, right? And then you get to choose who you want to follow. So if you're not following someone that's empowering you, well, see ya.
And I love that.
Yeah, and I think that's where we get a little bit caught up sometimes. We actually have the power on who we can follow.
Yep.
Yeah. So no one else knows that. You can hide it. You choose. I'm pretty sure we're not going to go sit there and click on, oh, who's that person following? Nah, we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah.
What I mean, and that's this is kind of the landing space that I wanted to get in terms of the message from you, who has a high profile page, who is passionate about her message and her mission, that is dedicated to building the brand, but it is authentically real to you. And the messages and the posts are all engineered around that authentic desire to help, to inspire, to motivate, to empower. And they're two.
Absolutely. Like my hashtag on there is empower, because any story or experience or kind of education that I'd love to put in the social media world is in a space to help. You know, I don't sit there, like it can take me a couple of hours to write a post to make sure and I'll have a few people sense check it to be like, how did you interpret this?
Yeah.
You know, did this come across in a way that you felt a certain way? You know, and I don't always ask Ra because he's not the most helpful person in that space, but I'll try and go to someone brain. I'll try and go to someone that's not completely biased as well. Like, hey,
yes, of course.
An acquaintance. Hey, can you just quickly sense check this for me? But also someone I can respect and will trust, because they'll give me an honest answer on it. Yeah.
I think leading away from that, and we're talking about your mission to empower. Mm-hmm. What have you been up to in that space? Because there's been a couple of things that you've been promoting. There's a couple of messages that you've been sending forward of things that are happening. I'd really love to hear more about that.
Oh, okay. It's very in the background at the moment until I complete my studies in it all. But I am currently completing a pregnancy and postpartum corrective exercise specialist course or certificate. So I'm really passionate around pregnancy, women who are pregnant and exercising, women who wish to continue exercising post-pregnancy, or just women in general getting into exercise. This one's a corrective exercise course, but a lot of the knowledge, the evidence, the education behind it is very applicable to just the biomechanics and the mechanism of the human body in general. Like, it's not specific to women, but it angles that way. So that's been super powerful in that space. And then I am completing a diploma in counseling and psychology as well. So again, I'm expanding my ability to really communicate and work with people and just build on that help, desire, and passion that I have. Because on the side of that, I have with a colleague of mine, it was actually her brainchild, and she kindly asked to see if I wanted to be a partnership with her. We've created a women's only focus group in which we have once a week women of the ages between 18 and 30 and it's a safe space where they can authentically discuss and connect with us around any kind of mental health or issues that might be going on in their life. So we've created a really safe space for that in the Lower Hutt region for anyone who wish to attend. It's free of charge. It's absolutely just your koha is your presence to be there, to be able to just have a safe space to talk. So there's a couple of projects, yes, in the background that we're working on to continue that kind of pathway and desire of help and empowerment within our society, because more than ever we need it right now, and for people just to talk, communicate, to listen, to be heard, and feel valued,
Yeah, listening is the big thing. I think with these types of things, it's hard. It's super challenging to be able to sit down and say, hey, I have a problem. Hey, you know what? I'm not perfect, because we're always stuck in that game of comparison. So I see how challenging it is for people to be able to do that. But I urge anybody that's listening, that is going through anything challenging, all it needs to do is start with a conversation, whether it's someone you trust or even someone that you don't know, there are some wonderful helplines that you can call just to start the conversation. It's starting the ball rolling. And then after that, it's the next step, step. And as you talk, I think expressing yourself and being able to hear yourself express your own thoughts as they pour out of your mind, out of your heart, out of your soul, I think it's important for you to hear them as well.
Yes.
As well as another person. And then you bounce between the two of you, starting to figure out how to solve the issue or manage it or deal with it. So
and like you touched on, like that verbalization of the thoughts in your head can create a self-realization. You're like, oh shit, it's not like it creates it anymore. It doesn't make it any more real. Like, it's still real to you. It's still an experience you're going through and what you wish to work on. But saying it out loud actually gives a self-realization, but also can take a weight off your shoulders to be like, okay, I've just shared a problem. Now a problem shared is a problem halved. How can we work through together to now alleviate those things that you're feeling in the right way that's for you? So it's just, no one's alone in this space to think that their thoughts they're the only person to ever think such thoughts.
Yeah. How did you overcome that? I mean, how did you take the first step? Because, I guess publicly, man, you've been through the ringer, right? There's a lot of stuff that you've been through in your life that has been super challenging. And here you are, strong, beautiful, courageous, kind, caring, making an impact, supporting others always. How did you take those first steps and make the decision to say, look, I've got to open this book. I've got to start to share this, because this is really going to get my mission underway, and this is going to help more people by me being open rather than portraying that life's great, get here, do this.
Yeah. I think the realization came when, it's a really good question. When I think about, it was a few years ago. I can't put a timeline on it exactly, but I remember the defining moment being when I realized a gift I had was that people were just able to open up and talk to me if I'd only known them for 5 seconds. There was just something that I was enabling them to be able to do, that they were just able to tell me the deepest, darkest issues that they needed to express. A lot of it could have come down just to the ability to be able to listen and actively give that genuine connection, like they just haven't had that from anyone else.
Sure.
And that's that can be, it's very separate for everyone, that experience on who you open up to. But the ones I did seem to be ones that had some sort of similar experience to me, which was probably already in some way energy in the universe already knew that. You connect somehow people connect to you because there's some sort of correlation, right?
Of course.
So a lot of my vulnerabilities and my experiences I started to share were just based on actually what I had been through was starting to become evident that was quite common through a lot of the people that I had already connected with. So let's try and create let's put some things out there, just drip feed some things, because we've got to be really careful with some of the messages we send too, because there's a certain amount of vulnerability that we can share, especially in a leadership position, right? Because you're still leaned upon, when you're in a leadership position, you're still looked upon to be that person of support. So you still need to have the strength, the resilience, and the respect to know that that person can come to you when they're in a hard time.
Yeah.
Not get this kind of concept or notion in the head that you're fighting your own demons. No way you can handle mine, right? So there's got to be an element of, I'm sharing my experience to show, hey, it's normal to feel this. This is what you can feel. These are the experiences that anyone can have. There's a way through it. Here's something that I went through. Here's some ways you can then have tools to get through it yourself. So it's always showing the outcome, right? And knowing that maybe that outcome might be not right for that person, but there is a way that you can get help and get support, and here's where you can go to get it. So fine line between in your leadership position to show a certain amount of vulnerability, but still be that point of strength and pillar of strength when needed. So you can be that active listener and encourager in the times of need for those people. Yeah. So realism with your stories, but still showing the outcome and the strength that can come from it. And
obviously you're high on empathy, eh?
Mm. Yeah.
High on empathy, which is challenging.
Yeah, can be.
There's a lot of,
like kind of, I want to go in and save you. You know, the rescue mode. There's a lot of that.
Of course. And I guess the more that you deal with that emotion yourself, the more you have the ability to nurture it and point it in the right direction, right? And it's part of who you are fundamentally. So not fighting what is a natural urge part of you. It's part of you, so accepting it, but also using it for good, as a force for good, not a self-destructive tool, because it can be. It can be very dangerous. It can be very powerful.
Yeah.
So do you with that in mind, I guess, in those moments where you can absolutely 100% feel what the other person is feeling, instead of unraveling and going to, you know, that response, we can go two ways, right? We can go straight back to that dark place. What prevents you, or gives you the courage and clarity to be able to just draw your thoughts and your thought processes together in those moments? Because it is challenging, right? When people start to talk about something that you've been through.
Oh, when you're triggered by something.
Yeah.
So it's feeling those emotions. So, and this is still something I'm working on, to be honest. Like there's I'm a very emotional and reactive person to my emotions. So when I can feel something, and this doesn't have to be a traumatizing experience that you've been through, but just emotions in general that create a reactive response. So it's about removing that trigger to kind of think in a logical space. So when it comes to any of the trauma, when I've talked to some of these girls and working through that space, what sets my mind in focus is the light at the end of the tunnel. So I actually removed the darkness. I said, okay, this is a temporary moment that we're in right now. And I help my girls or anyone that I'm talking through. So just for the listeners as well, like any of the trauma that I've been through is kind of around any eating disorders or any kind of relationships around exercise and food. So that's kind of the traumatizing past that I've had around anorexia and mental health there. So a lot of the girls that I've worked through in that space, I have them fixate on the bigger picture, not fixate, but help them open their mind to the bigger picture. Because what happens when you're in that state of mind of kind of exercise and food, it's all you ever think about. You kind of get lost in the space of that's all I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about my next meal. I'm thinking about how I'm going to burn it off, you know. And FYI, I'd probably put a trigger warning on this discussion as well.
Yes, sure.
So we'll leave it at there for that.
Yep.
So I help the girls kind of think about what they loved first before that became the only things they thought about. because everyone has something that they loved before that.
Of course.
So for me, when I was coming through those stages of life, like I was still in my basketball years, I had a sixth form ball I wanted to go to. I had this hot guy that had asked me to go with him. Like I wanted to make sure I was going to that motherfucking ball.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like that, all the bigger picture things around life. Like I wanted to make sure I was still playing basketball. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to go to the ball. I wanted to, what else wasn't kind of in the, like, I wanted to drive my car. Like there was all these things in the bigger picture of life that I held on to and just gave me these little steps of progress to work through the hardship of it, you know. So that's where I help these girls at kind of the baby stages. But at the same time, I go into rescue mode with that, but I'm not the professional they need to get the support in the bigger picture. Great. So instead of trying to take on all of their trauma and where they're at with their experience, I do have to, and it's so hard for me because in my heart, I want to be the one to save you. But I know to protect myself from everything that they're going through, I can only take them so far, and then the rest has to be put into the hands of the professionals. And I'm passionate and I drive 100% to find them the right people. And there's a few I've done that to get them onto that list straight away and the support they need. Yeah.
And I think that's critical too. So when you're in a position where someone can open up and talk to you about it, you're 100% right. There are people that are trained to do it. There are some wonderful professionals that can take that next step. So you don't have to, if you're in a position where someone is confiding in you, you don't have to take that responsibility yourself, because it can weigh heavy as well, eh?
But then what justice are you doing, or integrity are you holding to that person too? Like it's not clear on their journey and their healing if you can't give them everything they need, and yourself. So it's doing best by everyone in that situation.
Yeah.
As well as the professionals, because that's what they're there to do. Yeah. So I've got an array of contacts for anyone in that space that needs someone to talk to. 100%. Yeah.
When all you want to do is help, hey, it's interesting to be in a position to say, hey, I've helped you to this point, as you said, but there's someone who is better served to take you to that next stage of your journey. But
you won't be forgotten, and that's the main thing. Like you're a detrimental catalyst in that part of their journey, and then that next person will be too, and then there'll be someone else. Like it's a journey, and any kind of traumatic healing, you know.
Yeah, I think just peeps, just put yourself in a position where you could listen, and we know when we come across someone that's struggling, we know it. You can see when people are low or tired or a little bit off their game, but continue to ask the question, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you?
Do we chat about it? Even in our classes, the relationships we build with our men, everything, like we're there for each other. It goes both ways. Yeah. So let's
switch it up a bit and go to some light stuff. Let's talk about some let's go to the bright lights. Let's talk more on that the joy that you have and express, right? What's that?
I'm happy. I'm happy. Enjoy.
Yeah, of course. It's evident that you love what you do, and you're in an opportunity where you get to express it, your happy place, obviously.
Yeah.
How do you stay consistent? And is there a switch in you? Like if you've had a shit day, you've had a real bad start, right? And you've got up and one of your kids has just done a shit on the floor and you've been cooking this wonderful soup that suddenly got burnt, and there's 6 phone calls and there's bills to pay and there's that, but you've got to go in, and then all of a sudden you're on stage and whammo!
Yeah.
That switch, hey.
It's honestly a switch. It is a switch. As soon as you walk through the door, not even the door of the studio, as soon as you walk to the door of the gym, like you have a responsibility. You're there as our job, and it's not, we say it's our job, but we love it so much it doesn't feel like a job, right? Yep. And I'm not saying this as some cliche bullshit. Like this is just the truth of being an instructor, right? You walk through as soon as you walk into the gym, you're on. As soon as you walk onto the stage, your shit doesn't matter. Like we have no idea what kind of shit our people in the room are going through right now too. But we're all there together to have one incredible workout that we know we're going to walk away from feeling so much better, and that shit that happened before, who cares? Like, it just, the endorphins, the chemical responses, everything that happens from exercise, just, it makes you go, that wasn't even a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's literally a switch. You just have to leave it at the door. And it's as simple as that. It's all I do. I'm like, my baggage is not important right now. I'm not here for me.
Check it at the door, bus. Check it at the door.
Go into workout by myself. Like, this workout here is what's going to fix me, or what I need right now to see the humor in this, and the shit on the floor, and the burnt suit, and I'm gonna laugh at that shit later. You wait, I'm gonna laugh at that.
We all go through the ringer in a position, but I do love that. There's something wonderful about stepping onto the premises of a gym. I'm not saying it's hallowed ground, but all of the people that have been there before us, and all of the wonderful stories, and the wonderful people that have carried the flag and helped so many people, and for us as well. And you're very, very similar to me in terms of that mission, and connected to the true purpose, and just being there for people and helping people. And I love that, and that's 100% genuine. Cody and I used to talk about it. It's not like the car salesman. You walk in, they're just there to sell you something. We're just there to offer any piece of inspiration, or just some time for you to do whatever you want to do, whatever makes you feel good. And that's wonderful. That's always been wonderful, and that's what's kept me going for so long, connected to the passion.
So I mean, look, I've been in it 12 years. You've been in it 100 years. So something
115.
Right. There's something about it that keeps us coming back, right?
I experienced something today, actually, because we've been going into switching our we started at D.M.C dailies, we're going to D.M.C diaries, and I noticed that when I was out and about on my bicycle, especially, I was inspired or compelled to talk about stuff. And then I come to the realization that I'm doing something that I honestly enjoy, right? That I'm passionate about. And what that does is create a range of positive emotions for me. And whether it's evoking memories of stuff that I've done before, or memories of people, but just that feeling. And there's a whole lot of drugs that circulate around the body, all the endorphins and the dopamine, all of those types of things. But let's just call them those feel good tings that surge through your body when you're doing something you love. And then the byproduct of that is anything that was going through my mind that I had to kind of pull apart, I'd approached it in a way more positive way. Because my mindset was drawn to this joyful moment, and the joyful things that I was experiencing, and all the joyful tings that were surging around my body. So that's why I urge people, and it happens a lot. You see people that just kind of stop doing stuff that they really love, but probably not for the right reasons. If you're passionate about one thing, keep doing it, and do a shit ton of it for as long as you can. Do everything you can, exhaust every option to enable you to do that for as long as you can. Or if you're unable to do that, find a substitute or something close. Cycling, for instance, is full of broken runners because they can't run anymore, so they turn to cycling. It's a true story. When your knees give out, you'll know what I mean. You may be running now, but you'll know what I mean. One day you'll be on a bike. You'll be on a bike in your tight lycra shorts. You know what I mean. So the process of doing things that we love personally helps us process stuff, and our talk changes, and our chatter changes, and our interactions change. So I just love the fact that when you're doing stuff like that, I mean, outside of the gym, what's the one thing that truly brings you that immense amount of joy and clarity?
My children.
Of course.
Yeah. But before that, before I had the kids, it's always just been people. And like I was sitting here today, and this morning I kind of woke up and I was like, the first thought you have in the day is going to set you up for the day, right?
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, okay, it's 4 a.m. on a Saturday. Today's meant to be my sleeping day. Like, why am I awake?
Universe, why?
Why?
One thing.
But managed to roll over, go to sleep, and I woke up and I was like, oh, starting to feel a bit sore. I'm a bit tired, and I was like, no, how are we going to make this day better? And I knew, straight away, I knew I had 3 really cool phone calls and interactions happening today, because I knew I wasn't going to go to the gym today. I was like, I can't.
Well, fuck. Hopefully this was on the list. I mean, hopefully this was on the list. Oh. Yes, we made it, peeps. The D.M.C Podcast has made it.
Yeah,
we're on Mandis list.
So, like, I knew I wasn't going to the gym today. It just wasn't going to happen. So I was like, shit, I've got some great chats happening this afternoon. I'm going to be feeling really good. And I tell you what, each chat, every interaction today has just made me feel really better. And that just brings me so much joy and people and love and yeah. So
just refilling your cup, eh?
Yeah, just family and people. And I know tomorrow is kind of our introvert day where it's just us. So I look forward to that. That's going to bring me a hell of a lot of joy and fuel up for the week ahead.
You know, what's amazing as the journey progresses as a family unit too, as your children get older and you interact with them in a different way and you have these deep conversations. You know, the hard thing as a parent is knowing that your kids will go through struggles at times. There are things ahead of them that you potentially have confronted and faced, and it doesn't matter what part of that journey you share with them, they have to go through it themselves, which is super challenging.
One of the conversations I was having, that was something we were talking about, how, you know, we've got to enable our kids to go through these struggles, you know, mentally, physically, whatever it looks like, societal, whatever they're going to have to go, because otherwise how are they going to build resilience, right? How are they going to deal with life outside of our family walls? So just, yeah.
So how do
I have to learn to not go in and rescue, because I feel like I'm going to be that man that's going to be like the rescuer everywhere. So yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm a doer. Like we talked about love language a little bit about it last week, and I love doing things, and that bites me in the ass, because those things were invariably cooking and making beds and doing laundry and that type of stuff. Dad tanks, let me do that for you. Then now I'm like, why can't you do that yourself? Because they just get done. I'm like, makes sense. Solid commercial sense. It's a good deal.
Yeah.
You know, it's part of it's part of a parent. So a little bit about the love language. You know a bit about love language.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a bit about your love language, Miss, if you can.
It's of affirmation on me.
Nice.
Yeah. And quality time, clearly.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful quality time. And do you think
awesome, I love you?
Who doesn't like to hear that shit? I mean,
right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, you're awesome and I love you. There you go.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's for you, it's true, right? It resonates. It comes from the heart. And I think, you know, those three words are critical, and we use them a lot, but it's generated from a real place, because it's love, love, in its purest form. And there are so many different layers to love, which is what's wonderful about it. So many different ways to express your love, so many ways you can love positively, so many ways you can generate love.
Totally.
So don't be afraid, never be afraid to say it or use it. And, you know, when it comes to those little moments, say, in our ability to share those things which are important to say, critical to say, say it, for fuck's sake. Say it. You know, don't go to bed. It's like, don't go to bed on an argument. Or if you've got something to say and you walk away from a conversation and you've got one thing and you just turn and you think, oh, that's the moment that you should say it. That's, you know, the universe brings those words, or the conversation has brought those words to the forefront. If you love someone, tell them.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you respect someone, if you're proud of someone, those little things.
Whatever it is, yeah. There's a little tool I do when, like, something maybe triggers me or reminds me of something, of someone or a situation. Like, as soon as that happens, like, I'm on a messenger to them straight away, and I'm like, I just had a thought of you, remember this, just thinking of you, love you. Like, I'll send them just a little kind of, and they don't have to respond. It's not sent to have some sort of recognition return. It's just you're on my thoughts, I acknowledge you, hope you're well. Like, it's just amazing. A simple act and task like that can change someone's entire day, you know?
Yeah, I feel you. So, I mean, if we pitter patter back to wonderful children, and your little business unit, your little family. How do you prepare kids nowadays? Because my challenges to prepare my children will probably be a little different. There's lots of similarities. How do you prepare them for the world that's unfolding today? Because it's pretty manic, right? And there are things that children are using today and have access to tools that my children didn't have access to, that obviously we didn't have access to, and the generation before had no flipping idea, i.e. if my mum could even work a toaster, I would be surprised. I love you, mum. But my days, if it's got a plug or batteries in it, she's out. She's out. So, but how do you, I love you, Barbs. I love you, Barbs. In fact, Barbs is coming over tomorrow. I'm going to pick her up, and me and my mum, me and my awesome mum are going to hang out. But how do you prepare your children, your little business unit, to walk those footsteps when there's so much uncertainty, chaos, fear, lots of different language? You're obviously hearing lots of really different, interesting discussions. How do you prepare your kids for that, for what's coming? Is there fear involved with what sort of world will my kids be in?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Like my mindscape doesn't try to expand too far in the future to create, because my natural headspace can go into fear for them, and I don't want it. But I acknowledge it, because at the same time, like you said, we do have to do some sort of preparing for them. I'm hoping, again, I'm hoping by a couple so my two youngest are at an age where they're not really understanding what's going on in the world anyway, so it's almost like my advantage is them being so young. We've skipped kind of any kind of explanation around what lockdown is, what a pandemic is, what kind of all this kind of stuff is that's going on in the world, climate change and everything. So I feel like I've just cotton-wooled them a little bit. But whereas we have our 12-year-old who's kind of in that really influential stage of like, shit, what's going on? What's happening? So there's been a lot of discussions. And what's beautiful about our oldest is he's very intuitive and he's very empathetic, and he's not actually shy to talk. Like, he loves to talk. You need someone for your next podcast? Have my 12-year-old, mate. Give you 2 hours, all right? So and that's what's really great is he doesn't understand his emotions, but he will talk about them. So that's really great. And he's not afraid to ask of what's going on and what's happening. And we're just really honest with them. We're like, look, this is all very new to us. So what don't you understand? What do you want to talk about? Let's talk through that. And we'll give you, we just give them the truth of what we know. We try to avoid putting the news on or any kind of stuff around when the kids are on, for certain, just in general at the moment, just for all of us, it's all a bit morbid. We don't need to have it on every single night to be updated on the same shit that's going on in the world. So we just try and avoid that for now. But yeah, with the younger two as they come through, quite honestly, it's a bit of a journey each year to where they're at and how we do this parenting gig.
And they're incredibly resilient, eh? I think you can try and cover your kids up as much as you can and wrap them in bubble wrap and try and guide them through life. But again, same thing with us as adults. They've got to learn through lived experiences, and you only have to touch fire once to know that you shouldn't touch fire. You should,
right?
And it's of course. And that's experiences, and that your children are going to go through life and have their heart broken or break a heart or break a bone. It's kind of for the most part inevitable, but you've got to allow them that length of rope. And as T and I were discussing, for us, teach them right from wrong, empower them to make their decisions, take responsibility, be honest, be open, talk about stuff.
It's and what kind of environment you create at home for them too. Like I was talking about before, I can be quite emotional, which can trigger my reactions. So I don't want them to live in a space where they can't come to me about anything that they might have done wrong, once they know the kind of difference between right and wrong. Like so my 4-year-old, for example, I'd love him to still be able to come to me when he's done something wrong and know he's not going to be yelled at. It's like, okay, well, let's sit down and talk about what happened. Okay, we know that's wrong, right? Yeah, okay, so we won't do it again. No, great. So there's still a consequence for it, but it's not, he's not going to be fearful to know that he can't come to talk to me about anything.
Yeah.
So and we've got a really open approach, both Sarah and I, with the kids on that. And
Of course. Both intelligent and articulate. I mean, if anything's going to test your patience, it is A, your partner, and B, your children. And if you've got a combo in the house where they're both testing you at the same time, it's just magic. It's just magic. That chaos where you just want to reverse as quickly as you possibly can. The turbo reverse gear. Let me leave the room, and then the fixer is going, no, stay here.
Yeah, where's my kitchen floor?
Where's the kitchen floor? Do you know much about Mel Robbins? Have you listened to much of her?
Heard of her, yes.
I say motivation. She thinks motivation is bullshit, but it's inspiration. And she talks wonderfully about how our body is, our minds are designed to protect us, right? So we go into panic mode and protection mode when we magnify all of these problems in front of us, because we don't want problems. Yeah. We're all about survival. So everything that we face as a hurdle is like magnified, spotlighted by 10 times, by 100 times. We see this massive issue in front of us, and it's taken a hold. You see it in a whole different light now, and I wish people would just take that step back. We call it zooming out on the channel. Shin Jane used the term wonderfully, so we just stole it, hashtagged it. To take that step back and take in some of the peripheral, and realize that panic mode is our minds magnifying danger to keep us alive. Survival instinct is perfectly normal, perfectly regular. It's hard. It's flipping hard. One thing, actually, a little bit of inspiration. I say motivation because she says motivation is bullshit in her words. It's her 5-second rule. She's got a 5-second rule.
Yeah.
So we've got 5 seconds opportunity when we decide to do something. If we don't do anything within 5 seconds, then that little fight or flight, that little protection mode switches on and it starts to list like a little computer, like a shopping list, all of these reasons why you shouldn't do it, right? So she's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, bang. And so I sat down, and it was raining, and I'm looking, thinking I've got to go for a bike ride, and then I'm like, right, you bastard, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, up.
Yeah.
So Mel Robbins, thank you. Thank you so much for that little gem, because it got me up and going, and even little moments where I thought, oh mate, I've just got to the grind. What are some of the I've converted to being an avid reader. Just read Seth Godin Tribes, and I'm just about to read his second book, Purple Cow. But what's that? Another cow. The cow I saw today, people, on my bike ride, wasn't purple, but it was large. Oh, no, it was large and black, and I had a look around the back end just to make sure there wasn't. It had teats. So if there wasn't teats, I would have been and probably been chased by a rather large bull. But it was a cow, and the cow we had a moment. We shared a moment. It was a wonderful moment of connection. But anyway, I know you love to read.
I do.
We talked about the Resilience Project that you had a read of, which is a wonderful book. Is there anything like recommendations for reading, like a must-do, a book that you've picked up and thought, you know what, this is going to be on my bookshelf forever?
Yeah, totally. Actually, one moment, caller. I've got a couple here. I think they're still here. Yes. There's 1, 2. Actually, one of them was actually one you recommended too.
Beautiful.
So these two, done and dusted. So Dare to Lead.
Yep, perfect.
Dare to Brene Brown. Oh, look, we're going everywhere. That's one of my faves. And Lead to Succeed by Craig Lewis. That's a good one.
Yes.
The Pursuit of Happiness. That's another good one.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. The 7 Habits of Successful People. That was one you told me to read. I've read that one. And the other one, where are my books? Hold on. These are good ones. Where is it? Hold on. We can jot these down later. So The Mind-Gut Connection is a good one by Emma and Mayer. Atomic Habits by James Clear, incredible.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. The Confidence Gap by Dr. Russ Harris. So he's the one that wrote The Pursuit of Happiness as well.
Okay.
I think that's what it's called. Something Happiness. Extreme Ownership and the Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willink. Yeah, by Jocko. Yep, those ones are good ones.
Green Beret, that guy, monster.
And what I've got lined up to read is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Oh, yeah.
And what I've just finished, if you are into anything around women performance or women empowerment, is Raw by Dr. Stacey T. Sims. She's amazing. So that's
awesome. Awesome. I read on the back of some of the Les Mills education that we've been doing too. So you want to talk about race?
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, wowzers. I mean, a completely new perspective, and the stuff that we dare not talk about, but that is every day for people all over the world, specifically Talks on Stories in America, the trials and tribulations, and inequality that still goes on to this very day. It's just, I was riveted to the book, and so many oh my god moments. But those types of things, as I said to Cody, I found myself reading motivational books all the time, and which is great. But then I thought, this is an opportunity for me to read something completely different. I was like, you get a holy fuck moment, right? Because it's important to, if we keep reading the same, we'll keep talking the same, we'll keep thinking the same. So to throw stuff in to broaden our horizons in our conversations. So that's a good one. Old mate Goggins, legend, maniac, absolute maniac. And a good segue actually, but into our next little part. But David Goggins actually has had surgery recently because he's a ultra distance runner, been running, just does these ridiculous ultra distance runs, and it ended up he had to get some plates in his leg, and it was pretty messy. But he's online. Stay Hard is his and he's got a new underwear apparel that's Stay Hard as well that has been introduced. But he's taken up cycling because he can't run.
Because he can't run, like you said.
And that is my point. If Goggins rides a bike, you got to ride a bike. Stay hard. If Goggins rides a bike, bikes are cool, i.e. ergo, get a bike. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But when you go back to one of the early episodes, we talked about embracing your freak, and people, what I love about it, if people think you are fucking crazy, then I think that's you're actually enabling them to see your superpower, a special side of you, right? That your passion shines through so intensely that people think you're absolutely raving fucking mad, and I love that, right? And I absolutely love it. But we all have people that we look at, go, you crazy, bro, you crazy, you're crazy. But we don't look in the mirror. Don't look in the mirror. So let's just switch it around a bit.
Okay.
I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you 3 things about yourself that you are incredibly proud of.
Oh, wow. Oh, you'll make me cry.
It's not my intention.
I know, but
See, talking about ourselves, we suck, eh? We suck.
We're so bad at it.
How's the palms?
My palms aren't sweaty. My eyes are going to leak.
Knees weak, arms spaghetti.
Yeah, no. One of the biggest things I'm proud of are my children. that they were just always something I never thought I would be able to have. So they're not only what I'm the most proud of, but they're also the biggest gift I've ever been given. So yes, my children. I'm incredibly proud of my partner and my fiance, my husband to be.
Fiance.
We have been together 9 years, and just seeing his journey, his growth. And it's funny you mentioned the race book, because there's a lot of stuff that he's overcome around race and culture, and especially in his everyday life and what he deals with, to where he is today. So the resilience, the strength, the the mana, what you'd call the mana he has, is just
props to my sexy boyfriend too.
Yeah. He inspires me and motivates me every day. Yeah, and the third thing I am most proud of would probably be, look, we don't often say it, but myself. Yeah, there's been a lot of shit. Yeah, I've said that. I've said worse today. There's been a lot of shit that I've had to overcome this year. And I have grown so much as a person, and I've had the last 2 months to reflect on a lot of things, and there is absolutely nothing wrong and nothing more powerful than saying that you're proud of yourself for any sort of experience that you've been through. So I will wholeheartedly say here right now, with wholesome energy, that I am extremely proud of myself.
Thank you for saying that, because I think we tend to go external, and like your children and your partner are one thing, but they're external influences. So being proud of things and acknowledging what you have brought to those situations, and also, I know wholeheartedly that is reciprocated, and the language from Ra would be exactly the same in terms of his proud and the part that you play in his life, and the children, how fortunate they are to have such a wonderful, caring, kind mother. And I see that in you every day. So, and that's why I wanted to chat and to be able to open it up and share more of that with everybody, and just chat to you about it. Just chat to you about it. So to acknowledge, for one thing, to say that I mean, for me, I'm super proud of you. Just seeing you develop. And I remember when you first came to Wellington, and all the challenges that you've faced, all of the adversity. You've embraced adversity, diversity. You've cared for so many people and a part of so many different people's journeys and paths, in fitness and in life. So to see you taking the next step in your life, which I know you'll be successful, is just truly wonderful for me. I love it when special things happen for special people. So I just want to acknowledge that. So I'm super proud of you too. You.
Thank you.
Always be the heartbeat, eh?
Yeah.
And there was only one thing that Mandi asked for in this interview, and that was she wanted us to shoot at the beach. So here we are, no expense spared. Obviously, I can't divulge the location, because we had to pull a lot of strings to get here.
Yes.
And thank you to our doubles, our extras in the back, the two surfers, for standing there for so long.
So long.
Effortlessly still looking for
and
the
for
perfect.
Exactly the same position the whole time. Thank you.
Slowest sunrise ever, or is it sunset? You never surf in the sunset, because that's when the sharks come out. Hey,
yeah,
never surf. So, Mandi,
yes,
we go through this drill. You see, every podcast.
Yes, you do.
And I've changed it up a little bit, because it's, it was kind of like, what would you like to be written or said about you, or what would you like to be written on your gravestone? It's kind of like, oh fuck, hang on a second. But I think I want to reframe that.
Okay.
I want to reframe it in a way more positive and in a delightful way. Okay. If there was one message that you could share with our viewers and listeners in this moment, given all the external factors everybody's going through, but also something that genuinely comes from your heart, something that you feel compelled to share in this moment with everybody. I'm putting you on the spot.
Wow.
I know, but what could you possibly articulate that for us? What would that be?
What would that be? Okay. Bear with me on the articulation, but never apologize for being unapologetically you. You who you are is uniquely you, and you're a gift to this world that should shine bright and take up as much space as possible. And if you are ever to come in contact with me, I would only want ever for you to leave feeling that value and that worth.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And you have that, I say that effect, but it shines from you. So thank you for that. Mandi, thank you so much for your time. I know the weekend is treasure time and your family has disappeared, and Ra has graciously taken over the responsibility of moving the tribe out of the house so you're not distracted and your hair's not pulled and there's...
I'll let you have the imagination on what I have to do later for that.
Happy days. Woo! Well, that took a turn, didn't it, peeps? All I want to say is, thank you so much for sharing more of you, for being open, for being honest, for chatting, for never shying away from the mahi, for always doing the work, for talking the talk, but also for walking the walk, for being an inspiration, for being kind, for being caring. I cannot wait, as all of the listeners cannot wait, for the first episode of your new podcast. Thanks, that was leaked inadvertently today. Yes. All we have to say, peeps, is listen to the entire conversation. The D.M.C Podcast is just about getting people to talk, to communicate, and again, sharing more of yourself, being brave enough not to expose yourself, but just to lead through love, to lead through light, to be kind. And to do that, you need to be kind to yourself. Okay. So, we all make mistakes. We're all human. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's how we evolve. And without those moments, we wouldn't be where we are today. So please take ownership of it and be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself for just being here and being now. Look after one another. It's crazy times. We're nearly at a number. That means we can high five again. Celebrate the day that we can high five and hug each other and hold each other and celebrate Christmas and do all the fun stuff. This is a wonderful, amazing country. This is a wonderful life that we have the opportunity to live. We have wonderful connections and friends and opportunities to chat. So Mandi, thank you again. I just want to say this was episode number 36 of the D.M.C Podcast from Mandi and myself. Thank you so much. Take care of one another and peace.
Thank you.